Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. So we're looking at what's going on in Oregon. They passed this measure 114. Goes into effect December 8th. Originally, they were told it would be January, and they said, oh, no, it's going to go into effect December 8th. And it requires a permit to be able to purchase, not a permit to carry, but before you can buy a gun, you have to have a permit. And before you can get the permit, you got to take a class. And the police departments and the sheriff's departments are saying, we can't offer the classes. We're just not ready for that. We don't know what to do with this. And some sheriffs have even said, we're just not going to. We're just flat out not going to. There are other provisions in it about banning standard capacity magazines and such. But I wanted to get a report from somebody on the ground in Oregon who knows guns, who knows this stuff. My friend Ron Willis said, yeah, I'll talk about it, because he's a longtime law enforcement and done a lot of different interesting things, former law enforcement now. Ron, welcome, first of all.
Hi, how you doing?
I am well. So one of the things I read is that gun stores are saying, yeah, we're going to go out of business on December 8th, because at that point, no one will be able to buy a gun. What are you seeing? What's going on right now?
Okay, well, probably the latest thing that's going on is the Oregon Firearms Federation. It's our state gun rights organization.
Right.
Filed an injunction in federal court on the 23rd, as last Wednesday.
Right, trying to get the courts to stop the implementation of this.
Exactly. Well, the unusual result was that on Thanksgiving Day, the 24th, a judge has scheduled a hearing for this next Friday, which is December 2nd.
Yeah, right before, less than a week before this law is supposed to go into effect. And also, this coming week, as we're talking right now, probably at least three other lawsuits are going to be filed from Second Amendment Foundation and the National Shooting Sports Foundation, maybe Firearms Policy Coalition, but there will be a flurry of lawsuits being filed and motions trying to get temporary restraining orders or injunctions to stop the implementation of this law, because several gun stores have just said, look, we're going to go out of business, because if nothing changes on December 8th, that's the end of gun sales, because you can't get the permit and we can't process the sale without the permit. Does that sound right?
That sounds about what they're up to. I was able to go to the Gun Rights Policy Conference in October in Dallas, right. And I know that at the time the Second Amendment Foundation was already gearing up to file a lawsuit, but
right.
In case it did pass.
Sorry, I missed you there. I was just getting over the COVID mess, so I was unable to get down there.
Yeah, I know. It was an interesting conference. That was my first, by the way. But
it's an amazing gathering, isn't it?
It is. It's really folks from all over the country all getting together, putting our minds together, and seeing what we can come up with to protect our rights.
Helps you recharge your battery. So I heard, that there are like these lines in all the gun stores, and evidently the Oregon State Police have, depending on which number you like, 20,000 or 24,000 people in line to get their applications processed.
Well, that's true. I was looking for a .22 Magnum revolver, and I found one at a local store, and I bought it. And of course, I had to wait for the instant background check, and it's not so instant any longer.
No.
I still haven't received the firearm, and last time I checked, there were still 10,000 people ahead of me in line. And at one point, it was 20,000 people ahead of me in line. So that number has gone down a bit. Now on the Brady bill that mandated the background check, there is a clause in there for delays. And if your background check is delayed more than 3 days, you can go ahead and finish the transfer and take possession.
But it's up to the store whether they will do that.
Correct. The store I bought mine through, they are insist that they are only enforcing the Brady bill, and so they won't give
they
you
they actually don't know what the Brady bill says. Now, one store I know of, J&B Firearms, said that they are going to release the firearms after the 3-day federal NICS waiting period passed, regardless of what the Oregon State Police are doing, which is a pretty gutsy move on their part.
Yeah, I actually printed out the Brady bill and took it over and showed it to them, but they weren't going to give in. So I'm still haven't gotten my revolver yet.
Well, good luck with that. It's quite the mess, and it's in flux. And there are those who, for whatever reason, they're giving cover to the gun banners. They're saying, well, this is kind of an unintended consequence of Measure 114, which was a good faith effort. And you and I know different. We know that this was part of the plan. Let's make it literally impossible to get the permit, so it's literally impossible to buy a gun. That's the goal.
That is it. That is the goal.
And I no surprise to you, I looked at a map of Oregon, county by county, of which ones voted for Measure 114 and which ones voted against it. And it was like 90% of the counties voted against it, but you've got those key counties where the population bases are who voted for it, and now we have the tyranny of democracy working again.
That's exactly right. The counties on the east side of the Cascade Mountain ranges are all pretty much red states, and they're involved in a movement now trying to secede from Oregon and
become part of Idaho.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what? We'll take you. It'll be fine. Come on over.
That'll work.
Well, Ron, thank you for your on-the-ground report. I appreciate that. Good luck with getting your revolver, man.
Well, if there's a problem with it and I wind up don't getting it, then that will give me standing in a lawsuit.
Well, there you go. And I know you're up to the task, so look, keep me posted, please, if you would.
Okay.
All right, listen, take care, my friend, and good luck with it all. It's quite the mess over in Oregon. If you're in Oregon, let me know what you're seeing, what are you hearing, what's going on in the stores. If you are, if you're an Oregon gun store, you're probably really busy today and don't have time to call in, but would love to hear from you. It's unbelievable. Lines, and people who are walking in and seeing the lines and going, yeah, I'm out. I'm not even going to try to buy a gun. Then the gun banners win. 866-TALK-GUN. Gene's with us. He's called in on line 2 out of Oregon with a report from on the ground in Looney Land. Hey, Gene.
Hey. Hi, Tom. So I just wanted to do a quick comment, and that was, it's an interesting way of framing this. As of December 8th, I'll no longer be able to purchase a gun without having a certificate for a non-existent license, which basically is going to duplicate the CHL that I already have in my wallet. So everything's it's a ridiculous way of framing it.
So, and I'm just thinking about this as you're explaining it, and you're right. You already have your carry permit. And normally, if there was any logic to it at all, they would say, oh, you've already taken the class. You've already done all this other stuff. You should be able to buy a gun with your carry permit, right?
And law enforcement off-duty still can't carry anything more than a 10-round magazine.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Law enforcement officers off-duty cannot carry a handgun with a magazine more than 10 rounds either.
So a police officer on duty could carry a full capacity, standard capacity magazine in his or her firearm, but as soon as you're off duty, you have to go to the crippled magazine that the rest of the state has to carry. I'll bet law enforcement is not happy about that.
No. Everyone I've talked to, I talk to a lot of sheriff's officers all the time, and they're uniformly, all of them are just kind of up in arms about it. And, I wasn't listening earlier, but most of the sheriffs have come out and against it for multiple reasons.
Right.
Funding being the big thing, but for them.
Yeah, it is an unfunded mandate with the sheriff's department saying, well, nobody's going to give us money to offer these classes. And also, you want us to police people on the size, the capacity of their magazines? Number one, we don't have the wherewithal to do it. We don't have the funding to do it. But number two, a number of sheriffs have said, I'm not going to do it at all because it's just flat out unconstitutional.
Right. Well, I'm hoping that, a judge will make a reasonable stay of execution and let this sit up on the shelf while everything gets kind of worked out. Because as it stands, you're right. It's totally unconstitutional for several reasons. And I'll also add that the measure as it was written comprised two complete separate issues. One was the licensing and certificate process. The other was a magazine ban. Mm-hmm. So the Oregon Constitution, and I believe the federal Constitution, specifically has limitations on a ballot measure can only have one topic. So out of the gate, it's already unconstitutional, and I'm surprised that the state AG didn't pick up on that.
Well, except that the AG, of course,
either.
Yeah, I was going to say the AG is in favor of gun bans, so here we go. You know,
right.
I would say stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of activity on this in the next 7 days. You're going to see several lawsuits filed. I guess I don't have the details on them, but I'm thinking there are going to be 3+ lawsuits filed in the next week or so before this goes into effect. The law goes into effect on December 8th. And as you say, what we need right now is some breathing room. We need a judge to say, okay, wait, we're going to put a temporary restraining order in on this. We're going to block implementation of it. And nothing happens until we get time to go to court and actually argue this and see what's going up.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks, Tom. I just wanted to throw that out there. It's just crazy. I walked into one of our local sporting goods stores here to go buy a box of bullets, and of course, there's no bullets on the shelf to buy. There's lots of ammo, but if you're a hand loader, there's not much to pick from. But what was interesting was there was normally on any given Sunday afternoon, you walk in there and there might be 2 or 3 people at the gun counter. Today there was probably in excess of, I'd say, close to 100.
Holy! Everybody's trying to get their guns purchased before this thing goes into effect. Makes sense.
Yeah, they're trying. They're not going to have much luck, but good luck to them.
Well, I appreciate it.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, and thanks. You put on a great show. So
thanks, Gene. Appreciate the update here. And speaking of updates, let's grab Annie on line 5 out of Portland, Oregon, because she's got some news of a way that you can get a gun there. Hey, Annie, welcome to Gun Talk.
Well, thank you. I have indeed found out, being in the store at J&B, they are doing the release in 3 days if there's a delay.
That's what I had heard. I read that online. J&B, a gun store there, said, look, the Brady bill says that after 3 days of delay, we can release it, and we're going to go ahead and do that. So you got your gun. What'd you get?
I don't have it yet because I'm still next to you. They said to come in, not yesterday, but in 3 days, starting Monday, and to come pick it up. I said, no problem. And I actually reiterated that is the case. I asked over and over just to be sure. And there is ammo on the shelves, and there is ammo in Weimart, because I was there last night. And I'm getting a 380 easy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And because I'm another woman. And so it's all there so far.
That's very good. And yes, the requirement under Brady bill is 3 business days. If you have the delay for 3 business days, then they can release it. A lot of stores won't do it, but it's perfectly legal for them to do it.
Yeah, Weimart won't do that because I specifically asked, but J&B specifically said they will.
Okay, and that's where Ron, our guest, was trying to buy his gun, and Weimart said, no, we're not going to do it. He said, well, look, here's a copy of the Brady bill that says you can. They said, we don't care. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, Andy, look, thank you for the update. Thank you for the report, and good luck on getting your gun. And hats off to J&B. I don't know the guys there, the folks at the store, but good on you for looking at it and going, okay, here's a way that we can actually, and thanks for the call, a way that we can actually get guns to people who are trying to buy guns before this draconian law goes into effect. And we are absolutely obeying the letter of the law, which says we can do this. Now, some stores don't want to do it because they say, well, we're just not going to release it until we get the okay on the background check. Well, this is the old CYA deal. And sometimes, like Weimart, that's a chain. And they've got some corporate weenie out there, some attorney saying, no, we got to watch your liability. You got to do this. You can't do that. And we're better off not letting people have the guns they're trying to buy as opposed to taking a chance that maybe somebody doesn't pass the background check. Except that the law says you can. And the store's not on the hook for that because the law says you can release the gun after 3 days. So, I mean, there it is.